What happens when Hollywood royalty collides with daytime TV's sharpest tongue? On one unforgettable morning, Julia Roberts, America's beloved sweetheart, walked onto The View expecting light-hearted chatter and a warm welcome. Instead, she found herself face-to-face with Joy Behar in one of the most uncomfortable exchanges daytime television has ever seen. What started as casual questions about movies and family quickly spiraled into accusations of privilege, authenticity, and even Julia's personal life. The tension grew so thick that every smile faded, every laugh died down, and the cameras captured an emotional showdown no one could have predicted. By the end, audiences weren't just watching an interview, they were witnessing history in the making. The studio lights of The View blazed brighter than ever that morning. Viewers at home tuned in expecting an ordinary episode, some friendly chatter, a few laughs, and perhaps a glimpse into Hollywood glamour. What they got instead would become one of the most talked about moments in daytime television. Julia Roberts, Hollywood's America's sweetheart, walked onto the set radiating confidence. Her emerald dress shimmered under the lights, her trademark smile lighting up the studio. The audience erupted into cheers, clapping with the kind of enthusiasm reserved only for icons who have shaped decades of film and pop culture. At first glance, it was just another star making an appearance. Whoopi Goldberg leaned in with her signature warmth, welcoming Julia back to the show. Sarah Haynes chimed in with excitement, while Sunny Hostin greeted her with genuine admiration. All the usual elements were in place: the celebrity guest, the friendly panel, the buzzing energy of a live audience. But not everyone at the table looked thrilled. Sitting just a few chairs away, Joy Behar wore a different expression. Arms crossed, eyes narrowed, a faint smirk tugged at the corners of her mouth. She wasn't laughing, clapping, or even pretending to join in the cheerful mood. Instead, she looked like someone preparing for battle. For Julia, it was business as usual. She responded with charm, laughing easily and answering light-hearted questions about her latest projects. The crowd was eating it up, her voice, her presence, her effortless charisma. But beneath the applause, something darker lingered. Joy's silence wasn't accidental. It was deliberate, and anyone familiar with live television could sense the tension beginning to build. Talk shows, especially ones like The View, thrive on sharp opinions and heated debates. They play out like political arenas, different personalities clashing, defending, or provoking, all under the spotlight of a national audience. And while most of the time it's just spirited conversation, sometimes the pressure cracks the surface. This was one of those times. As Julia continued her stories, the camera occasionally cut to Joy. That smirk never left her face. It wasn't the smile of admiration, it was something closer to calculation. The kind of look that made viewers at home lean forward, sensing that the mood in the room was shifting. For decades, Julia Roberts had been celebrated for her authenticity, her charm, and her seemingly unshakable positivity. But on that morning, Joy Behar seemed ready to test just how unshakable Julia really was. The applause, the glamour, the warm introductions, it was all just the opening act. What came next would strip away the Hollywood sparkle and reveal a side of live television that was raw, confrontational, and unforgettable. Chapter 1 was the calm before the storm. The conversation started the way viewers expected: light, easy, even heartwarming. Sarah Haynes leaned forward, asking Julia about her latest film project, her eyes glowing with genuine curiosity. Julia answered with ease, sharing a funny anecdote from the set that had the audience roaring with laughter. Then Sunny Hostin chimed in, asking about Julia's family, giving her the chance to show her softer, more personal side. Everything felt like the typical Hollywood interview: safe, charming, and perfectly polished. But then, the silence broke. Joy Behar, who had remained unusually quiet during these opening moments, finally leaned forward in her chair. Her smirk had not disappeared, and when she spoke, the tone in her voice was noticeably different from her co-hosts. "Julia," she said, cutting across Sarah mid-sentence, "don't you ever get tired of playing the same character over and over again?" The question dropped like a stone in the middle of the studio. The audience gasped lightly, and even the other hosts shifted uncomfortably. For a second, Julia's trademark smile faltered. Her eyes flickered with surprise, but she quickly recovered, letting out a small laugh to soften the tension. "I'm not sure what you mean, Joy," Julia replied gracefully, her voice steady. "I've tried to take on a variety of roles throughout my career." But Joy didn't let go. "Oh, come on," she pressed, her tone sharp. "The pretty woman, the romantic lead, the girl next door with the big smile. It's the same thing, different movie. Don't you think audiences deserve more from someone with your supposed talent? The air in the studio shifted instantly. This wasn't banter. This wasn't playful sparring. This was confrontation. Whoopi Goldberg shifted in her seat, attempting to diffuse the situation. Joy, I think Julia has shown incredible range in her filmography, she said firmly, hoping to redirect the moment. But Joy wasn't interested in moving on. The grin on her face only deepened as she locked eyes with Julia. To many watching at home, this didn't feel like a casual critique of an actress's career. It felt political, an attack on image, on reputation, on the very narrative Julia Roberts had built over decades. It wasn't just about movies. It was about authenticity, power, and whether America's sweetheart had earned her crown or coasted on charm. Julia's posture straightened, her smile fading just a little more. The tension was unmistakable. A line had been crossed, and everyone could feel it. What started as a routine celebrity interview was now something else entirely. The stage was set, and the clash between Julia Roberts and Joy Behar had only just begun. If the room felt tense after Joy Behar questioned Julia's career choices, it was nothing compared to what came next. The energy shifted from professional critique to something far more personal, and the atmosphere inside the studio grew heavier with every passing second. Sunny Hostin attempted to steer the conversation back toward safer ground, asking Julia about her upcoming projects. Julia leaned into the question gratefully, eager to discuss her work. She smiled, explained the themes of her new film, and even slipped in a light-hearted story that earned another wave of laughter from the audience. For a moment, it seemed like the storm had passed. But Joy wasn't done. Actually, Joy interrupted, her tone sharp. Let's talk about something else. She paused, letting the silence hang for effect. Let's talk about privilege. Let's talk about how easy it is to maintain a perfect image when you've never had to face real adversity. The audience went silent. Whoopi Goldberg shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Sarah Haynes lowered her gaze, clearly unsettled. Everyone knew this was no longer about acting roles or filmography. This was an attack on Julia Roberts as a person. Julia's smile faded completely now. Her voice, though steady, carried a sharper edge. "Excuse me?" she asked. Joy pressed forward, emboldened. "You've lived a charmed life, Julia. Born beautiful, discovered young, handed success on a silver platter. What do you know about struggle? What do you know about the real world that the rest of us live in?" The words hit like a hammer, and Julia's composure was visibly tested. The crowd sat frozen, almost afraid to react. Julia took a deep breath, her hands tightening slightly in her lap. "Joy, I think you're making some very unfair assumptions about my life," she replied firmly. "You don't know the challenges I've faced." But Joy wasn't about to back down. With a grin that didn't reach her eyes, she fired back. "From where I'm sitting, your biggest challenge has been deciding which mansion to live in." The panel looked stunned. Whoopi opened her mouth to intervene again, but Joy cut her off, pushing harder. "You've built a career out of being America's sweetheart. But what happens when America gets tired of sweet? What happens when they want something real?" The studio's air thickened. It felt less like an interview and more like a courtroom cross-examination, only without rules, without boundaries. Julia sat taller, her expression unreadable, but her silence spoke volumes. The tension was suffocating. Viewers at home were no longer just watching a talk show. They were watching a confrontation, raw and unfiltered, about power, privilege, and authenticity. And in that moment, the carefully staged world of daytime TV looked more like a battleground. By this point, the tension on set was no longer subtle, it was undeniable. Every laugh that Julia had offered earlier was gone, replaced with a tightened jaw and sharpened eyes. Viewers at home could sense it, the studio audience could feel it, and even the camera operators seemed to lean closer, knowing they were capturing something bigger than an interview. Joy Behar, emboldened by Julia's silence, leaned forward with another barb. "Authenticity," she mocked, her voice cutting. "Is that what we are calling it? Because from where I'm sitting, you've been playing the same version of yourself for 30 years. Julia's smile disappeared completely now. Her voice was calm but deliberate. "I think my work speaks for itself, Joy. I've always tried to bring authenticity to every role I play." But Joy pushed harder, the political undertone clear. America doesn't need another carefully packaged sweetheart. What happens when the country wants something real? Something raw? What happens when they get tired of your perfect act? Whoopi Goldberg tried once again to intervene. Joy, I think Julia has proven her talent, she said, her tone measured but firm. Still, Joy was relentless. She shifted the conversation into even more dangerous territory. Let's talk about privilege, she pressed. Let's talk about how easy it is to maintain this image when you've never had to live like the rest of us. Julia's composure cracked slightly. Her eyes narrowed, her voice steady but colder than before. Joy, you don't know much, but in stunned whispers and gasps. Viewers at home